Chapter 25. I feel tired, more tired than usual, like someone turned on a tap and all my energy ran out. I'm late for school. I needed to sleep longer. When I get there, the word is out about the booing. Mr. Hazard calls the team into his office. He still has the hazard sign on his door. Casey, who spends a lot of time in Mr. Hazard's office, shouts, "We're innocent. We have alibis." Mr. Hazard's face is red as he paces in front of another sign that says hazardous conditions. I can promise you, boys, that what happened yesterday at Meyerson is not going to happen again. My dad took care of it, I tell him. He kicked it, Sky agrees, and we're grateful for that. He pauses in front of hazardous materials, hazardous waste. That's on his trash can. Your father won't be the only one kicking, Jeremiah, I assure you. I've heard from many baseball parents who are not going to let this go. My mother was there, Sky said. She was mad. Yes, we're serious about supporting you, he says. Casey raises his hand. Can we have cheerleaders? I elbow him. We appreciate your support, Mr. Hazard. I stare at the guys until they all say thank you. We'd like to honor you in the next assembly, he says. Alvin raises his hand. We haven't won yet. Not yet, Mr. Hazard smiles. There will be more to come on this, boys. Casey asks, can we have a parade through town? Mr. Hazard sighs. I say, thank you, sir. We're totally grateful. Any games you can get us, I promise you, we'll play like maniacs. Yes, Casey shouts. We are total... Terrell and I push Casey out the door. I'm in English class. The kid behind me is coughing. Not just randomly coughing. He's aiming it at me. I look at him. He coughs deep, doesn't cover his mouth. Covering your mouth is the #1 rule of being a responsible cougher. I can't get sick. I have low immunity because of my transplant and the medication I have to take. That means I can get sicker than regular people, and I usually do. The girl across from me is sneezing. A pile of used tissues are on her desk, like she's proud of the collection. You should put those away. They're crawling with germs, I think to myself. I want you to think creatively, Mrs. Ogletree is saying, because writing a poem captures special moments in life. Be expressive. Let your thoughts flow. We're supposed to write a poem now. Aunt Charity had me do a lot of this. I let my thoughts flow. This is what it says. I'm surrounded. Every virus known to man is in this room, landing on me. It's like an invasion. Germ armies marching, wearing matching helmets, carrying weapons, shouting a germ war cry. I drink chicken soup for lunch because of the electrolytes. I wash my hands dozens of times. I squirt antiseptic lotion onto my hands and rub it on my neck. Time's up, Mrs. Ogletree announces. Anyone want to read their poem? I'm not done with mine. I keep writing. I'm sneezing now and coughing. I fought the good fight, but I lost. I write "the cold" at the top of my paper and decide not to read it, even though it's good. I don't feel well. I go home right after school, tell Terrell to run practice. I go to sleep at 8 at night. I'm not kidding. And I get sick anyway, really sick. Sinus infection, headache, dripping nose, bad cough. I'm sorry, Walt, I say. You've nothing to apologize for, he says. He looks so worried because the last time I got like this, I got bronchitis, which took weeks and weeks to leave my body. I'm cold too and wearing 2 sweaters plus heavy pants. I can't go to school. I can't help the baseball team. I have a pillow on the couch and an electric blanket. I'm reading my coaching books, listening to the game, shouting at the game. I point to the TV. You've had the bases loaded twice and you can't make it happen? I mean, you're making trillions of dollars. How hard can this be? Walt is working at home. He puts Sarb on the living room rug. Fine Jeremiah, Sarb, he says. I raise a weak hand. Sarb rolls to me, but I have a coughing fit and I choke from my own coughing, which is so pathetic. Sarb can't cope with this and rolls back to Walt. Walt adds this to his list of things to fix for Sarb. There is no known list of things to fix for me. I take 2 pills. I just wanted to come to Hillcrest and be regular. Go to baseball games, have a friend. You know, normal. I look at Walt, who hasn't had a normal day probably since he adopted me, and I wonder, was I too much trouble for my mother? Is that why I shake that thought from my mind. There are things we all think about that are guaranteed to make us miserable, and this is one of the big miserables for me. I attempt laughing, have another coughing fit, and half choke. I look out the front window. I want to be out there living strong. I remember those 2 years when I couldn't do much. I looked out the window and pictured the life I wanted to have. It always involved running and baseball. Well, I've got the baseball part now, sort of. Franny and El Grande are by their garage, fixing the rocking horse Bo wanted to throw out. El Grande is tightening the springs with a tool as Franny holds the horse in place. Then El Grande runs his hand over the horse and begins to use sandpaper on it. Franny is smiling and sanding too. She must have had this rocking horse when she was a kid. It's good they're restoring it. A few years ago, Baby lost her left eye when she was attacked by Gerald Cosmos' parakeet, Twinkles. I was so upset I cried. But Walt got a new eye that almost matched the other one and sewed it onto Baby. There, he said, better than before. When I woke up from my surgery and a million doctors and nurses asked how I was, I told them, better than before.